everyone, it's Becky here and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to new wrap-up video finally, which I wanted to film for ages because I believe that the last wrap-up video I done was in March, back in March, and although I really wish this year that I could do wrap-up video after every month, well, April and May I took a little break from YouTube or Booktube in general, and also from filming and from reading as well, because I was quite busy with other stuff. But then when I got back to it, I started to read quite more books as well, but until this point I did not have time to film a wrap-up video. But we are here now and I'm very excited because I do not have as many books as maybe someone would expect for several months wrap-up, but still those were some great books and I cannot wait to tell you about them. So without further ado, I will just start because there is still quite a lot of books, and I will start. I have my notes here actually because, as I mentioned, the ones I finished, first one was actually in April and now it's mid of July when I'm filming this, so I wrote little notes, and the book which I start with is Still Life. This is a book which I had as a buddy read with lovely art from Bookshelf Odyssey, and I was so excited about this book, but I must say I was way too more excited that I actually enjoyed it at the end, unfortunately. It would be like solid 3.5 stars for me. There were several reasons for this. First of all, I think it's quite difficult for me to explain what this book is really about. Because it changes quite a lot of years and places and people. I don't think there is only one main character, I would say there is more, but I would start with Ulysses, who is a young man who in 1940 I believe he finds himself in Tuscany in one wine cellar, which is quite difficult for me to pronounce, and there he meets Evelyn Skinner, who is much older than him, but she works as art historian, and basically during the war she went to Tuscany to help find and collect art pieces and paintings and prevent them from being stolen during the war. And that's the first time these two characters meet. And after that they both go their separated ways, they all live their own lives. For example, Ulysses, he comes back to London where he meets his friends who are mostly based around one pub. And there he has old friend and his parrot. And what happens later in the story is that also there is some love story involved, which never really is properly fulfilled, but there is a kid coming out from it. And somehow at some point, and I don't want to spoil anything, so that's why I'm speaking kinda in the riddles, but at some point in this book, thanks to a villa Ulysses inherits, he finds himself in Tuscany again with the company of the kid and also his old friend from the pub and his parrot. So all these people move to Tuscany, and then a couple years later he meets Evelyn Skinner there again, while she was also leading her own life, and we learned quite a lot about her and her life and her journey, which is very interesting as well. So I would say this is the basic overview what this book is about. It also involves quite a lot of romance and love and war and reminiscing and sort of like, I would even say like poetic thinking about life or philosophing about life, if that makes sense. So that would be about the story. About the book itself, I did not really enjoy the writing style of this, because not even technically, but even as a story-wise, because technically this book, once again I will show you, but it does not have any like quotation marks or anything like this, so it was a little bit confusing at the beginning to basically find myself what and how I'm supposed to read this. In the same time, when it comes to the book itself, I would say that it was very slow start for me, and I think that Art agreed as well that for both of us it was very slow start, and the book is split between few chapters, but also, oh sorry, not chapters really, but into several parts, which are quite longer one. I would say that for me, maybe between part 2 and 3 I found myself really invested in the book and I really loved it, but then once again it took me very long time to get into the book in the first place. Then after those 2 or 3 parts, when I was like, oh yeah, this is going good, then I found myself in kind of like slump with this, and it took me quite a long while to pick up the book and read it again. And to be honest, the ending of the book, which was literally like last 15 or maybe 20 pages, I did not skip it, but I really just jumped through the pages with my eyes and did not really pay much attention. Also, the end of the book focuses mostly on Evelyn and her younger self, which I did not find that necessary for me to know. Like, I loved her character and her personality as she was at the stage when we met her, and several times when there was some reminiscing about the past, I enjoyed it, but then going through her like young life, I did not need to know that. For me, she wasn't like the main character, if that makes sense. One thing I would love to point out is that, as you can see here, there were so many quotes I absolutely loved. That's one thing, that despite the book being maybe slow occasionally or not exactly perfect as I would expect, just there was something about the writing which really made me love the book, and I will put several quotes on the screen because in this way, or in this sense, it was absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I was hoping it would be a little bit better than what I got. The book number 2 which I finished was Buddy Read again, and I read this book with lovely Gemma from Gem of Books and also Jennifer from Jennifer Loves Reading. I did really enjoy this buddy read, although it was in the time, I believe April, May, when I was busy as well, so I was quite behind and then I was trying to catch up. This book is not very thick, you can read it within like maybe a day or two. It's very emotional, at least for me it was emotional experience, emotional read. I don't think this needs much of an introduction when it comes to story itself. Very briefly, it's a story of two men who has very special bond, very special relationship. One of them is called George and one of them is called Lenny, and Lenny, as it was described in the book, he has a mind as a child, so he is a little bit simple but still very good person, and the book basically follow their lives as they are trying to get a job and basically survive in the world, whilst George is mostly taking care of Lenny. And there are many, as I said, emotional moments happening. It was a great experience, and I especially enjoyed it when I could read it with these two lovely ladies, but it's one of those cases which I know that I will never pick the book again unless I will really have to, because in many ways it was really heartbreaking. I did enjoy writing style as well. I would say that it took me, well, not that it took me a little while to get like who is who, but I would say that at a certain point in the book you get to the place where you have many male characters, and I would be getting myself lost a little bit in those, but other than that I think it was very simply written, but in a good way, positively, that it's very easy for you to read. I think I did saw the ending coming, but still it kind of broke my heart. It was still surprising in a way. So overall, I think I gave this book like 4 stars. Did enjoy it. I know that many people has this as, you know, kind of like must read in high schools or stuff. We don't have this, and I would be glad if more people would know about this book and if they would read this, because it's really good and also I think important to read. But yeah, as I said, I don't think I'll pick it up again. So that was the book number 2. Book number 3 was another buddy read, and this time it was with Debra from Booking with Debra, and the book was called The Henna Artist. I absolutely love this book. It's definitely 5 stars for me. This is a book which I had ebook as well as the Of Mice and Men, that was ebook as well, so I don't have a physical copy. I absolutely love the whole experience. This is a book where the main character is Lakshmi when she is very young. It's basically set in India in 50s. That's one thing I should say at first. But to me personally, when I was reading the book, and I think we agreed this with Debra, that to both of us it seems to be set in much like longer time ago, not just 1950s. So that was interesting as well. But basically when she was a young girl, as many other girls, she was married to a man whom her parents chosen for her, and it wasn't a happy marriage, it was abusive marriage, and when she got older she decided to leave this marriage, which is obviously not something you are allowed to do in India as a woman. But she ran away from this marriage and she moved to a different town and she started to live her life on her own and working for herself, which caused a lot of troubles with her parents, who stopped talking to her completely. Although she did try to reach out, she was sending letters during the year, she was sending them money, but she never get any response. And meanwhile she started very successful business, and she started to be one of the most required, is that the word, like the most popular henna artist in the area. and she gained a lot of wealthy customers who had very important connections, and this was her job while with which she was trying to earn money for her own house. But Lakshmi also has couple secrets, and she did not want ladies, that's how she called the woman who she used to go to paint henna to, she didn't want them to know about her secrets, and one of them was also that she is also helping women with pregnancies, or well, helping them with unwanted pregnancies, which is also something that is not allowed in India, and especially in those times. So there was quite a lot of going on, and that's one thing which I really love about the book, that basically you get into it very quickly and there is still something happening so much. I did not want to put the book down. Another thing which happens later in the story is that her husband Hari appears. He basically follows her, and he appears in the place where she lives currently with a young girl who claims to be her sister. Lakshmi never knew about, because since her parents never really got in touch with her, she has no idea over these years that she has a sister. So from that point she is trying to learn how to live her life with another person she needs to take care of. And Lakshmi is absolutely incredible character who is strong, independent. I mentioned this in one of my previous videos as well, when I briefly touched on Henna Artist, that Lakshmi very easily is becoming one of my favorite characters of those which I read this year so far. And I did really enjoy the book, the experience. Also, there was incredible background. You learn about the India and India in 50s and the customs, and how especially the caste system, how it works, and also a lot of information about the process of making henna and all this form of art. So it was very interesting, and for me, I usually when I read, I do like to have silence for it, but recently when I do read books which are set in specific either country or maybe time period, I do like to listen to some music in background which is related to the story. So for example, with this one I was listening to some peaceful Indian music, and it was a whole new experience. So again, very quick look into my notes, but I think that that's most what I would like to say. Oh yeah, there was one more thing, a very interesting one, although completely unrelated to the story, but I don't know if you're familiar with the movie called Some Like It Hot. It's one of my favorite movies with Marilyn Monroe. It was also done in 50s, and in the movie there is a point when Lakshmi's sister went to see this movie in cinema, and she said it was amazing to see it in color, which really struck me because I seen this movie countless of times, but only in black and white. And when I googled it later on, I found out that although Marilyn Monroe wanted a film to be in color, Billy Wilder decided to film this in black and white. So I was very intrigued to know more about this, because so far I know the movie was filmed in black and white, so I would love to know if there was maybe some special version done which was color graded and it was in cinema at the time, because I seen a couple of color graded pictures or like stills from it, but I assumed that those were just photographs which were, you know, either in color or color graded. But there was something very interesting. So if you have any information about this movie, which might be difficult because it's old movie and I know that not many people know it, but if you don't, have a look, it's one of the best comedies ever, Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe. And let me know if you know anything about this regarding the color it was shot in, because I would love to know. Right, and that was the book number 3. The next book on my list is this one called The King's General, and this is my most favorite author, Daphne du Maurier, and it was another buddy read with lovely Annika from Inking Your Thinking. It's a book by Daphne du Maurier, so I loved it, but I'm thinking how to speak about this book, because there is one very important incident which is happening right at the beginning, and that kind of sets the whole tone and events of the book, but I don't want to say it because to me it came as a big surprise and I don't want to steal this moment from you. So I will just say very briefly from distance that this book is about two characters. The main character is called Honor Harris, and she is in love with Richard Grenville, although for many reasons they are apart for many years, but then they always meet from, you know, like time to time when they have chance, and she always loves him, although there are many obstacles. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to speak about this book. It's a book about war, love, friendship, family, and just read it. Read it because it's Daphne du Maurier and it's amazing. I also have a couple quotes which I love here because I love her writing style. What I love about Daphne du Maurier and her writing is, for once, the way she writes is that it really makes you interested about the characters and about the story. You want to keep reading. Also, the language of how it's written, it's beautiful, it's easy to follow. And another thing I love is the characters, because she always writes very believable and real characters. You never have evil person or like bad person just for the sake of being evil, but that's what makes them human. For example, Richard Grenville, the love interest of the main character, there are many reasons why you should really hate him, because the way he behaves towards, you know, even his own son, for example, or other people in his life, or some intentions he has, they are not always like, they are not greatest, but she still keeps loving him despite all of these things. And when you read the book, the one thing that was going through my mind is that I despise him for some things, but in the same time I still like him because he is real, because no one is only good, no one is only bad. And I just don't like when in books you have characters which are, you know, only good people, and then you have characters which are evil just for sake of having some villain or being evil. No, we all are mixed of the both, and I think that that's one thing she does absolutely beautifully in her book, the way she describes the characters. So I know I didn't tell you much about the story, I'm sorry, but definitely read it, give it a go. Okay, my friends, little sip from the tea, and I have 2 more books which I would love to tell you about. Right, one of them is this one, which I hope you will see because the cover is gorgeous, and it's called Watering the Soul. This is a book which I mentioned in my previous videos because it's the one I got very recently by Courtney Peppernell, who is one of my all-time favorite human beings on the planet, because she also wrote my favorite collection of poetry called Pillow Thoughts, which I will never stop praising on this channel, probably becoming my 3 Musketeers in this way. So if you haven't read it, have a look and do it. And this one is another book from her, and it's focusing mostly on healing yourself, especially when you went through something like heartbreak, for example. Because in many of her work, at least those which I read, she focuses on love and different forms of love, and this one is focused mostly on self-love and self-healing, and I absolutely loved it. There are some stunning illustrations which I would love to show you, for example like this. Can you see? Yes. Absolutely wonderful, stunning. The cover is very cute as well, and yeah, read this. And lastly, my friends, we have a Persuasion, which I'm very excited about because I read this for Jane Austen July. I'm hoping this video will come out in July so I can still do it, but I'm not gonna do the wrap up of this book right now because I finished it only this morning. But what I would love to do, probably same as many other booktubers because it's Jane Austen July, I would love to do a separated video where I'll be talking about this book, also the newest film adaptation and the film adaptation which was done in, I think, 1995. So that would be video itself. So far, what I will say about this book is that this was the first time I was reading Persuasion, the first time I finally found out what is happening is in this book and who are the characters. I did enjoy it very much, especially for the reason that it was done as a part of a read-along, which was organized by lovely gem of books and also Spread a Book Joy. And we had many booktubers participating there, and it was so much fun and I loved it so much. It's actually still happening by the time I'm recording this, but yeah, I'm just so happy I was part of this, and I will speak more about this book very soon, I promise. Right, my friends, those are all the books which I wanted to mention right now. As I said, I would expect to have read more books during several months, but it is what it is. Some of these books I loved them absolutely very much, and some of them were a little bit disappointing, but I would love to know your opinion if you read any of these books. If yes, please let me know what you thought of them, or maybe if you have some other thoughts regarding these books or anything I just said. I would love to chat with you in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribe. That would be lovely to have you here, and I will see you with another video very soon. Take care. Bye!